Well, hello everyone and welcome back to the next video. And now we dive a little bit more into time intelligence functions in DAX. Because what we have done so far is we leveraged the same period last year function. If I click on it, you can see that that's what we did, right? So we used the calculate function to modify the filter context. Always remember, if you want to modify the filter context, use calculate function. Then we need an expression, and then we give it a new filter context, which is in this case the same period last year function. Now the same period last year function is the most easiest way, I think, to start with time intelligence. However, it is not really flexible. Because the same period last year function will always jump back or shift back the time exactly 1 year. So as we see here in our context, we have here January 2020, and we can see the numbers here for those periods. That's fine. And if I simply Control-C to copy it, Control-V to paste it, just to have a table a second time, and then we simply change, just wanted to show it to you, if we change here the aggregation, so instead of having it at a year-month level, we simply right-click here, say we'd like to see it as a date, and then we go in here and right-click one more time and see it as a hierarchy, so to get all the hierarchy back. So in order to get it back, you need to first go to the date and then go back to hierarchy. Now you can see he got year, quarter, month, and day level again. And if you untick the day and also untick the month, like these ones here, now we would have it on a quarter level, right? And we can see this exactly works the same. So we got the sales for the first quarter 2019, and then of course in the same period last year, we got here in the year 2020, we got the sales from the prior period, which is exactly this number here. So this works, no matter how we slice and dice our data. That will always work. And also, of course, also for the other time dimensions if you want to use them. However, this is always, as I said before, exactly one period. But what if we like to only jump maybe 1 quarter back and want to compare actually this number, the 2.8 million, with the 2.9 million here? Or what if we'd like to compare, let's say, the January 2020 here, this number, with December? So we only want to jump 1 month back. So this is what I mean by flexibility. So jump back 1 month or jump back 1 quarter instead of simply only always jump back 1 year to the prior period. So this can be done, but it can't be done with the same period last year function. So there we need some more flexibility solution for that. And this is what I give you here in this video. So let me actually first remove maybe this table. And then we'd like to make this table, expand it a little bit. So select it first to make it a little bit bigger, like that. And now we calculate our, let's say, new flexible total sales last year. Or let's call it total sales last year 2. And I right click on my measures table, make sure that you do this. So make sure that you create the measure in the measures table if you've set it up the way I did, and then click on new measure. And the measure itself will look quite similar to the same period last year function, but we'll use a different kinds of time intelligence function for that. That means that we simply name it first. So let's say total sales last year 2, and now it's equal to, and I'll say I want to calculate something. Remember, we need to change the filter context. That is why we need to use calculate. So calculate, then the expression will be the total sales. So let's practice this, total sales. And now we need a new filter context. And instead of using the same period last year function, which we used here, we use another kind of time intelligence function, which is a so-called date add function. Date add. Here we go. So here, what does it do? It needs the date, then the number of intervals, and then the interval itself. Here, moves the given set of dates by a specified interval. And this allows a lot more flexibility than the simple same period last year function. Because you can give it a date here, and as I said, if you're referring to a date in a time intelligence function, you would most often use directly the date dimension here, this one. So that's fine. And then we can specify the number of intervals as well as the interval itself. So that means that, for instance, if we say -1, and then as an interval here, we would say year, this would mean we get exactly the same number as same period last year. Because what we do is, we simply jump back from the dates table itself, exactly 1 period, so -1 is simply shifted 1 period back, and then based on the level itself, so is exactly year. So if I untick this, press enter, so just to show it to you, make this smaller maybe, and then I select this, I go to the formatting option here, so also see this as currency dollar, and now if I use this in the table, I will get exactly the same column and the same values as I have here in the same period last year. So if I take this, you see exactly, here we go, oh sorry, this one was the last year, so this one. And we can see here, those numbers here for the same period last year function are exactly the same as these numbers here. Okay? So there's no difference here between those two. However, if we go back to this measure here and say we would like to jump back, maybe we could also say maybe 2 years, right? Sorry, 2 years. This, of course, would now jump back 2 years in the dataset. So our dataset is too small to jump back too many years, but I simply wanted to mention here that you can change the interval, whatever you want. So you could in a -2, you could also insert a +2 if you want to jump forward, and so on. So it allows you to completely flexible determine how many periods you want to jump. And the second one is, if I go back to -1, I can also specify the interval itself. So instead of having year, I could say I'd like to jump only, say, on a quarter level. So let's say quarter. Also, day is the lowest level. That simply gives you the sale from the prior day. But here, let's say on the quarter level, I press enter. And if I do that, you'll see that now this number will change. You can see it here. And what we get basically is here, we get exactly the number jumped from the quarter. So for instance, for January here, which where I have total sales 1.2024 million, I get exactly this number here in April, right here, because this is actually exactly 1 quarter shifted. You can see in the first quarter, in the first 3 months, we don't have any data, but then it starts actually going here with these numbers here, right? So these numbers down there start here, and then they go down there, exactly those numbers. So it simply means we only shift 1 quarter. Or if we go in here and say maybe I'd like to see this on the monthly level, so go in here and change the quarter to month. So month, here we go. And I press enter. Then I'll see that I only shift here the data on 1 month. So if I untick this, you see in January we got 1.024 million. Now we know it. And in February here we got exactly the same here number as in January. So shifted exactly one value here, right? So 1 back. And now we can see exactly, you can compare here the sales on a monthly level. So I can see exactly, okay, in February the sales was lower than in January. And of course now we can subtract those values if you want to get the exact difference. But this really allows you, the state add function is really flexible and allows you to jump back, specify the periods you want to use as well as the level itself, the interval. So as you've seen, you can go back years, you can go back quarters, months, or you can also go back days if you have it on a daily level granularity. Which in this case makes no sense because we aggregate here on a monthly level, but if you have it on a daily level, your sales here displayed, then of course it could make sense to use a day interval as well. For instance, what was the sales 7 days ago, anything like that, right? So this is total flexible here, this total sales last year using this state add function here, okay? So that's the second time intelligence functions which I wanted to show to you, and hopefully you can use this and also explore your data and given more even deeper insights, okay? So that's it for this video. Hopefully that was interesting. Hopefully you were able to follow along and understood what we did. In case you got questions, feel free to ask them. Otherwise, I can't wait to see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.